Starting now? Yep. All right. We are live. And uh, sorry about the lateness, some technical difficulties. My name is Quetzal Flores. I am a program manager with the Alliance for California Traditional Arts. I, um, I've been with ACTA for almost 9 years, and welcome to ACTAlandia. And today I'm going to talk about the tradition that I come from, which is Chicano music. And I'm going to talk about some specific parts of it and the influence of the son jarocho. This is a jarana, an 8-stringed, 5-chorused guitar made out of one piece cedar wood. This one is made by Diego Almazon from, it's from the south of Veracruz. And he made a series of these instruments, 24 to be exact, for a project that we're doing in the prisons called Arts and Corrections. And so where do I start? So son jarocho has a storied history in our community, particularly in Boyle Heights, East LA, but it goes much beyond that. So I'm going to start with talking about the importance of traditional music in our community, and a moment of confluence where the music of the son jarocho, which comes from Veracruz, as I said, and how it arrives here via the different recordings that were being produced in Mexico of different groups like Lino Chavez and Andres Huesca, and then eventually Andres Huesca comes to LA and lives here for some time, and so and then from there a group of young men, including Bobby Chagoya, take up this music and form a group called Conjunto Papaloapan, and so then from there. I think this moment of confluence that I'm talking about happens where Richie Valens he has a hit and has an opportunity to record something else and follow up on the success that he was having as an artist. And so this is really important because it's something that is typical of what happens in Chicano music. Is that Chicano music isn't just it's not a genre of music per se. It oftentimes involves handling multiple genres simultaneously, and Richie Valens did this very well. And so what Chicano music is the articulated reality of our people, of our experience, being born or being raised in the United States, particularly in the Southwest, and having a multitude of influences coming at us at once, and experiences coming at us as once, and in particular being in close proximity to Black Americans, to African Americans. And so at this time where Richie Valens is deciding to record La Bamba, and a rock and roll version of La Bamba, he is in love with Black music, and he's also in love with his own roots, and he's thinking about how to articulate that in one moment. And so, and I need to also stress that this is a time politically where Mexicans were still being hanged in California, at least. There was actually a federal order called Operation Wetback during this time as well that was deporting scores of Americans, not unlike today, where there are similar policies, federal policies, including putting children in cages and so on and so forth. So again, part of the Chicano music tradition is to be able to articulate our reality in these different ways and to bring these stories to the forefront. And so Richie Valens did this so well with La Bamba. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a version of La Bamba. And this is how I learned how to play originally from my teacher, Lorenzo Martinez, who first put this instrument in my hands and gave me access to this music. And then thankfully, there was a music shop in Boyle Heights called Candelas that gave us access to these instruments, right? And who really facilitated our learning and our sharing of this music for generations now. So I'm going to play La Bamba as I learned it originally from my teacher, Lorenzo Martinez. Para bailar la bamba se necesita una poca de gracia y otra cosita, y ahí arriba y arriba, ay arriba y arriba y arriba iré. Yo no soy marinero, por ti seré, por ti seré, por ti seré. Okay, and that's one version of La Bamba that I was fortunate enough to learn. And this was a version that goes is very typical of the recordings that you would hear of this music from that era. And like I said, I mentioned other artists that were being recorded during that time, like Lino Chavez and like Andres Huesca. And what's amazing is that there's actually a family called the Herreras from Oxnard, and who have now populated Fillmore and other places as well, that really spent time learning this style like to perfection, to this really high level of articulation of this music and this style, and so and then have now taught it to their offspring, to their children. And so I want to give a shout out to the Herreras, the big Herrera family from Oxnard. And then, so then we started to spend time, come over here, grab your quinto. We started to spend time in Veracruz with a movement called the Fandango movement. And this led to a whole, this is my son Sandino, this led to a whole other moment, make sure you stay in the camera, moment of exploration and of learning and I guess the shift here was learning how to be in community with music. And the folks down there call it a fandango. And fandango is like it's a ritual celebration around a platform called a tarima, where men and women come on and off at different moments, dancing and in a performative way, but it's not necessarily a performance. And so I'm going to play La Bamba as you would hear it in a fandango. This is Sandino. He's playing the requinto. This requinto is made by Ramon Gutierrez Hernandez from the group Mono, who comes from the Mono Blanco family, but the group Son de Madera.
necesita una escalera muy grande y otra chiquita y arriba y arriba, ay arriba y arriba y arriba, a los campos floridos, yo viajaré, yo viajaré, yo viajaré.
So back to our story. So Richie Valens does this thing, right, where he records La Bamba, and he, in one act, really is able to articulate our lived reality as Chicanos, and really gives us a path forward on how to express this music in different ways, right? And yes, it's important for us to learn the traditional styles and to continue to be students of the tradition. We actually have a master musician that lives in El Sereno, in the general East LA area. His name is Cesar Castro, jarocho. And he's been really amazing at maintaining this tradition here in the greater East Los Angeles area. He's our resident master. And so, and in addition, it is part of the Chicano tradition to try to, like I said, handle multiple genres at once. And so then I'm going to, throughout history, I'm going to move us forward in history, and I'm going to go to Los Lobos and the importance of Los Lobos and how they were able to continue to take this music and move it forward and utilize it in these really creative ways. In particular, I'm thinking of two songs. One is Be Still, which completely changed the way that I was thinking about music and understood music, and like La Bamba sort of, gave me those possibilities of how to move forward in this tradition, clear guides or guidelines. And the second was Saint Behind the Glass, where, and this is one of the Herreras that I mentioned earlier, Fermin Herrera, the patriarchs of that family. He records harp on this track by Los Lobos called Saint Behind the Glass. It's on the album Kiko. It's magnificent, and it's probably my favorite album ever recorded. And so they take a traditional song called El Pajarocu in this theme, and then they just kind of like shift the way that it's being sung. Louis wrote new lyrics to it, and then they created this harmonic shift, but it sounds something like this. Hammer and the nail, sit behind the glass. Start it again. Hammer and the nail, hammer and the nail, sit behind the glass, pulls a hammer and the nail. Baby in his arms, baby in his arms, sit behind the glass, pulls a baby in his arms. Watches me sleep, watches me sleep, saint behind the glass, watches me while I sleep. So that's Los Lobos. Now, continuing to shift, and it's a really beautiful story about Um, I think what he described it as his mother's living room, kitchen area, and I can identify with so much with those lyrics because it reminds me of my grandma's house and all the things that I would see inside her house. My grandma Juanita was my godmother as well, and many Mexican families and Latino families can identify with those lyrics. And he just happens to sing them in English because that's also what we do is we're able to shift back and forth. Sometimes, mixing both languages, and so Los Lobos, continue to exist and continue to produce incredible music and continue to use this tradition in such an incredible way, in a highly articulated way, and in different moments. And for me, I'm a nerd. I nerd out about this stuff, and so I go really deep and kind of do deep listening to their music and try to find those different influences, particularly the son jarocho. And so then, thinking about this trajectory throughout my career as a musician, I've always searched for ways to express myself, and I feel like I found myself with this instrument. Thank you, Lencho, if you're listening. If you're not, thank you anyway, because putting this instrument in my hands completely changed my trajectory. I started out playing electric guitar, which I still love to play and I still, maintain as part of my route. But I also, this became my writing partner in so many ways. And the relationship that I've been able to develop with this instrument has given me so much and given me such a unique voice in the tradition. And so, just thinking about another piece that we do as the band Quetzal, and how it continues this trajectory of shifting and lyrics and melody and also but still holding on to pieces of the tradition and knowing that you're breaking rules but breaking them in an informed way. And so I'm gonna try can we do Pillow People? Yeah, let's do it real quick. Come over here.
Does Sandino know it?
You want to play Jarana and I'll play Requinto?
But you're talking about you playing Jarana,
okay.
no?
I'll play Jarana, sure. Okay.
Do you remember?
Come over here. Yeah, here we go. This is called Pillow People. Yeah, it's okay. Here we go. Ba, ba, ba.
Coming twos, Texas, Utah, Cali. People walking, running, crawling, border tallies. Men, boys, women, girls, young, old, skinny, fatty. Hold their elders, hold their hopes, hold their little babies. No food, no means, no way to have it. Run, stumble, fall, get back up and at it. Yeah, make the man, pick the plan, toss it, rock it, run it. Under moon, under radar, make the dash and gun it. Touching down, get to town, washing, working, mowing. Taking heed, filling need, sending line, not knowing that you need. Filled by greed, past and present sowing. Other ties, U.S. lies, COINTEL and broing. The more they come, build, challenge, states of law and knowing. What is seen, when it's moving, there is no destroying. And if I've heard this story, you know, faith and glory. Oh, Pillow People. Oh, Pillow People. Oh, Pillow People.
Okay, so, so this is how it happens. It happens here often in this household. It's just, impromptu jam sessions. Welcome to our living room. So this is a part of that trajectory, right? Just being able to and I have to say that, and at the same time, it's respectful innovations, and it's informed by deep relationships. And I have to again shout out to Gilberto Gutierrez, Ramon Gutierrez, Laura Rebolloso, to Wendy Cao Romero, Tacho Utrera, the Los Cojolites crew, Liche, like everybody that we've been hanging out with down there, who's really kind of given us so much, and also Cesar Castro, like I mentioned earlier, who's here and who's been committed to moving this forward, and who is an amazing teacher and contributor, not just to the son jarocho tradition, but Chicano music tradition as well. And so, I guess I will stop there, and just or stop playing there, and then kind of like give more context to what this is and what Chicano music is. And so, again, it's about 100 years old. The fathers of Chicano music, or father of Chicano music, is widely recognized as Lalo Guerrero, and it's important to bring his name up because he also, before Richie Valens, he also created another articulated reality through music for Chicanos called Pachuco Boogie, and so much more. I mean, he was writing hits in Mexico and here simultaneously, and really connecting the two places in important ways. And I started with Richie Valens, rather with Bobby Chagoya and Richie Valens, because I was talking about the jarana and son jarocho, but I just wanted to mention Lalo as a really important character, and Lidia Mendoza as well, another important protagonist in this music we know as Chicano music. And so throughout history, we've had these moments of where people have been able to take these traditions and very honestly and organically express them, and even impact popular music, borrowing from what was popular music, which was black music at the time, and then being able to and then return the favor and influence it in many ways. And there's this really wonderful exhibit called and a book called American Sabor that talks a lot about this, the influence of Latinos in U.S. popular music. And so I think what I'll do is we'll play one more, and we'll go back to the root again. And I'm going to invite Sandino to come play with me again and see what he wants to play.
What do you want to play?
What do you want to play? Let's do. Why don't we do your new piece? So okay, this is actually a perfect segue. Yeah. So okay, Sandino, he grew up in this tradition, and has studied other instruments as well. Studies classical music. He's studying jazz with Dante Pascuso, my compadre, and lifelong family friend and collaborator in music, and has also been very perceptive and into the what Black culture has brought to the world. And so he was introduced to the Drinking Gourd song and was inspired by the idea, that of how enslaved Africans looked to the Big Dipper and the North Star as a point of freedom, a direction of freedom. Like, what direction is freedom in, right? And so a symbolic direction, and also like a literal direction of freedom. And so many people that have migrated from south to north have this experience, and it's not just, it didn't just happen to enslaved Africans. It's happening it continues to happen to people today who are facing conditions, impossible conditions. And so this is called La Estrella del Norte. It's a composition of Sandinos, and it's inspired by the Drinking Gourd song. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me questions through ACTA's page. Make sure you like ACTA's page, Alliance for California Traditional Arts. And until next time.